My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I am sitting here with Chris Reilly. Chris Reilly sets the Monkey Knife Fight lines. And if you don't know what Monkey Knife Fight is, it is daily fantasy. He sets the strike lines. You look at them, you say more or less, and if you win, we take their money. Go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. Sign up now, and they will instantly match your deposit up to $100. How you doing, Chris?
I am doing well. I mean, it's good. We got just a normal fight card after last week's. All the buzz is kind of dying down, so we're just kind of easing into this. It's a mellow card. I'm feeling it. It's not great, but it's not bad, right?
Yeah, my only complaint about this card is it's an early start time, so it's hard for I got kids. It's hard for me to like sit down and really enjoy it in the middle of the day. But yeah, it's not a bad card. We only have 11 fights because we lost to Roman Dolidze once. So we have 11 fights, and they're all okay. Nothing amazing, but nothing miserable.
Yeah, we live different lives, man. I'm all excited because I love the early cards because then that means I'm free Saturday night, which sometimes is rare, you know? Like, hell yeah, I'm done with work at like 4 or whatever time it is it gets done. I guess it's not that early. That would be the case of the Abu Dhabi fight.
That definitely makes it easier if you because I agree. There's times where my wife will want to go out to eat, and it's like, ooh, it's Saturday. There's a big fight tonight. But then there's regular nights where I want to watch the fights, but the kids are in the way. So it is what it is.
You got to cross that bridge to the professional point where you can just be like, I have to work tonight, and then you get excused for it. Yeah. That's where I'm at. You know, that's where I'm at in my life, and it's great. I don't necessarily need to watch all the fights, but, you know, as far as the people close to me know, yes, I do.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look at the main event. So we broke down every single one of these fights in details. We gave you our initial opinions on the strike lines. That was on Tuesday night. Money has come in, and as I've said many times before, these lines move with the money. You mentioned a bunch of under money came in, and you had to lower these strike lines?
Yeah, on the main event, what's going on here, man? Well, first of all, Max Holloway is not the guy you want to see for me just because there's certain guys like Diaz brothers and Max Holloway, especially because the dude has the craziest ceiling. I mean, his last fight, he had 447, right? Yeah. So it's like, where do you put a guy like, I don't know. Well, I put him at 187 just because I know he also had another one against Poirier, and I get that's kind of high, but it's 4.5, and it's pretty much a pick 'em to go to a decision again. So I have to listen to Vegas and expect 25 minutes of Max Holloway throwing punches, and the dude can just light it up. Yeah. I mean, I'm aware he has a couple ones against Volkanovski, but dude, he's not going against that guy. So, I mean, I feel like he can probably get more off on Rodriguez. So we'll see. I want 187. You guys all laughed in my face. I feel like everyone and their dog took the under. So, you know, fuck me. We'll see what happens. I dropped him a little bit, but now I'm cheering for Max, and that's not a bad thing. I'd rather be in my spot than your spot. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because, I mean, you're right. Max isn't exactly a stoppage machine. So in all likelihood, odds are saying that it will go the distance. I played the less. I just think Rodriguez coming off a 2-year layoff. He's got a wild style. And the beating that Max put on, oh my God, fellow New Englander. Holy crap, I'm forgetting his name in the last fight. Calvin Kattar. The beating he put on Calvin Kattar in his last fight, I don't think Yair Rodriguez could withstand that beating at all. I think he folds under that pressure, especially after a 2-year layoff. So I like the under. The line was high enough that it's like, okay, even if it's a 3rd round stoppage, I should be good here. So I played the under. You've lowered it now, and now it's creeping into, I don't know, 3rd round, he could get past that number of strikes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
So I'll see what happens. I'm going to be quick to raise it again. And another issue that I had kind of handicapping this fight is something I'm willing to admit quite a bit is I don't know all these guys, and I haven't seen this Rodriguez guy, so it's not a surprise since he said he has had a 2-year layoff. So all I can do is go off of his data, which is, well, I kind of like betting UFC and like, you know, doing all this. I don't feel like the data is quite as concrete because it was 2 years ago. But with that said, I mean, he got 136 in 3 rounds last fight. So he obviously has the ceilings if it goes 5 rounds to get over his line too. But I don't know, unless everyone's calling for an early stoppage, then, well, you know, now it's kind of in everyone's hands. So that's where I'm at with his line too. I feel like he can get over 100 easy. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. 2 high volume guys, both strikers. So there won't be any grappling slowing anything down. So we'll see what happens there. And 2-year layoff. Lots of questions after a 2-year layoff. Let's look at a co-main event. We've got Big Ben Rothwell and Marcos Rogerio de Lima. 2 big-time heavyweights. Ben Rothwell just slow, plots forward, but he actually does a decent amount of strikes considering he's a heavyweight, but he literally just marches forward and throws like this. And then Rogerio de Lima's got nice leg kicks. He can put up some solid numbers. He put up insane numbers in his win against Marcin Tybura for a heavyweight. So this is an interesting one. Did you have to touch this line?
So far I haven't. Actually, I was going to pull that up really quick here. This one, yeah, Rothwell is one of those interesting guys where it's the heavyweight division, so you have all those stereotypes that kind of go with it. But it's like, anything can happen. But it's like you kind of know what's going to happen with him. I mean, he's not going to come out guns blazing and just start firing. You know what I mean? It's going to be a slower paced fight. A lot of them go longer than most typical heavyweight fights. And when you look at his round total, they got it. 2.5 rounds is like minus 140 under, which honestly, I don't think the over is a bad play in my opinion with just the way this guy fights. And, when it comes to his strike rates, I mean, you look at his last couple of ones, and I actually just took his last 3 fights and just pulled out his average because that's, the ones when you break it down per minute, or I broke it down per minute per fight. So even in his second round fight, and then it came out to 82. I mean, all his fights, look at his last 5. 72, 95, 86, 71, 75. So, and they're all getting to the second or finishing.
Too. So he put up decent.
His last one was a stoppage, against your boy Barnett.
Yeah,
I mean, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just for a big, slow, heavy guy, he does put up decent strike numbers. So that does mess with his line. And then Marcos Rogerio de Lima, he's actually a pretty decent volume striker too. I just think Big Ben will just sloth him. But how did you get to his?
Honestly, I was just kind of playing into the heavyweight factor and hoping that people don't pick up on it. And my ultimate goal is that the public kind of jumps in on Saturday, seeing that we have 2 heavyweights and take under, and then De Lima goes over and I kind of school all those idiots. So that's my sneak and play that you're only going to hear right here in this podcast. So that's what I'm hoping happens, but we'll see. Because honestly, sometimes I feel like people don't even pay attention. They don't do their research. A lot of them just look and see 2 monstrous men and say, "Oh, whoa, that's a lot of punches for them to land," and they'll take the under. So if that's the case, I do think I get away with that 54. And right now, you know what? People are not agreeing with me, but I'm going to hold on. Everyone's kind of hitting my overs, actually. So I have more money on my over on both of these guys. But I don't think it's going to continue that way. So that's me trying to guess what everyone's going to do thing, when the second wave of bettors come in on Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, that's got to be interesting on the majority of your stuff. So it's interesting. It's a good peak because I imagine the early money is the smart money. So those trends are probably solid trends. Like if everybody's picking the under, it's like, okay, it'll probably go under, but for all you know, everybody, all the casuals will come in on a Saturday and hammer the over. So that's interesting.
Oh, I definitely pay attention to my early money. I've said as much on this show that if, I don't mind if my lines are off a little bit, I'll tighten them up by the time it counts. So when you guys come in, if you're all saying that my strike lines are way too high on the main event, then okay, well shit, I gotta get that down, right? But let's get a little more balanced by Saturday.
Let's take a look at Sean Woodson for Colin Anglin. Sean Woodson, you had a pretty high strike line on him. 3 rounds. We've talked about it before. He was basically a professional boxer, then moved into MMA. He puts up good volume. He's got a nice jab and a straight up striker. Colin Anglin's got decent striking, but ultimately will probably want to get this to the ground, but that might be tricky because even though he's got decent takedown offense, Woodson has very good takedown defense. So this is an interesting one. You don't see too many lines where one guy is double the other guy here. So how did you end up here?
Kind of goes back to what you said with Woodson. I've seen him fight a couple times, and he's got such a weird body. I mean, it's weird. Like his arms, obviously, you mentioned in your breakdown his reach, but you didn't just now. The guy's got long arms, and he's so skinny, and he looks like a Gumby-ish guy, and he really uses his length to keep people away. And by doing so, he pitter-patters the crap out of everybody, and that's what results in when you look at his fight log, the dude has some high lines. I mean, let's hold on. 104, 116, 150. And that's kind of because he uses his jab to kind of break away from people trying to go in on him. I have him at 114. I think he can easily hit that ceiling or hit over that because of his ceiling. And no one's agreeing with that. Everyone's hitting the under. So that's why I wanted to bring this fight up with you. It's just like, am I crazy and losing it? I don't know much about England. So that's why I wanted to bring this up with you. And I kind of set his on the assumption that if he shoots and he is successful, then he'll probably have a lower strike range. And sometimes it just in case the crazy happens and there's a stoppage. But I don't know too often about him, so I kind of, set him halfway point just in case you account for a short fight and a long fight. You know what I mean? And yeah. I don't know. I mean, how do you guys see this fight going on? Vegas has it as a clear decision, and that would tell me that, Woodson's takedown defense is good enough. I guess they don't expect him to get handled the whole fight, or maybe they do. I really was curious to your thoughts on how you saw this breaking down.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he does have good takedown defense. I'll pull up the stat here, but I think it was like 81% takedown defense. So he's got solid takedown defense, Woodson I'm talking about. So he should be able to keep it standing. And while England has solid takedown offense, I think he was at 80%. He's not exactly, he's not a just killer wrestler that'll sneak it in there. Yeah. So England has 80% takedown accuracy. Woodson has 81% takedown defense. So they're evenly matched if you look at that, but Woodson is so good with the range, so good hiding behind his jab, that it's going to be hard for England to get in there. And then on top of it, even if he gets in there, it's an evenly matched sort of wrestling exchange there. So I do think Woodson will keep England at bay. I do think he can touch him up. And I do think it goes to a decision. I'm always weary of playing the over when it's men at 100-something in 3-round fights. But, Woodson is just so busy. And England should get to the 50 because I think he's just going to start throwing wild, blitzing to try to get in there. He may get a takedown, and then if he does, that should help him. So I do think it's a decision. More is probably the safe play, but I personally am not going to touch it because I just can't put more on a man at 114 in 3 rounds. I just have a hard time with that.
It happens all the time because I feel like you always say, I've heard you say it multiple times. Like, it's like, if he gets touched up that many times, he's probably not surviving. But it's like, I mean, these strikes kind of account for clinches, and I got to assume that England's going to be, because if they're in a clinch, and you're sitting there and you pitter patter them, those are counting as strikes. And a lot of men can survive that. You know what I mean? So it's
and this isn't a power situation. So this isn't one where I think they both can take the punishment. Like when I say that, I'm talking about like the first fight, Kennedy and Chuck Wu. That dude lands that many times with the power he has. It's a little tricky, right? Here, Sean Woodson, as good of a boxer as he's not really a power guy. And then Colin England, same thing. There's not a ton of power there. He just wants to get it to the ground and work.
And I don't think he's going to be able to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if Woodson outstrikes him like 2-1, 3-1. So, I mean, the stats, well, the stats, I know they all say what they are, but, like you've said, it doesn't happen until it happens. And, the data's going off other fighters. I don't know how many people he's fought that are like Woodson that has these go-go gadget arms and just sits and uses them better than many people I've ever seen. So I'm going to keep this one high. If you guys want to keep hitting the under, be my guest. We'll see how this plays.
Yeah, this is one that I'm not going to touch, but yeah, I agree with you. The reach, I've said it a million times. I don't usually care about reach. We'll look at the topology and everybody's like, 1-inch reach. It doesn't usually matter because most people don't use it, don't know how to use it, or don't use it well. But Sean Woodson knows how to use his reach. He knows how to use it well. And we're talking about an 8-inch reach. So that's 4 on each arm. That's a big deal. So
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny that you say that because you know what? Like when I first started doing this, I used to just be a normal Tapology looking dude, just trying to figure out any edge I could because I was so new to the UFC. And that was something I would get burned on quite a bit was I would assume that they have this long reach, kind of like Woodson does. But like you said, a lot of people don't use it. And you're just like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It's like, keep him away. And it is so frustrating. And that's the edge you get by finding people who kind of know what's going on with all the fighters and stuff like that. And that's why I love tuning in with you guys week in, week out. And then it helps me as a handicapper because I'm, figuring out which guys can use their reach and where to put them and, which ones are just kind of false advertisement and not to fall into those traps. So it's awesome getting the insight, and that's what makes this job so fun, right?
Well, and what's great is you're an actual handicapper. Everybody who does a YouTube prediction show consider themselves cappers. But you're an actual, that's literally what you do for a living. Everybody else is just recording themselves talking like me. Let's take a look at the slates. You know I love me some Knockout Kings. This is
I never thought of it like that, man. Now you got me in my head. I'm just doing me. No freaking out, I guess.
Well, I love me some Knockout Kings. I haven't missed one in a very long time. It's the only thing keep me alive some weeks. So I like Max Holloway. You're saying that Vegas is saying it likely goes to a decision. I don't.
Yes, right now it is. It's actually trending higher that it goes to a decision. You can get plus 110 on some books or plus 105 on some books that it does not go to a decision. So. Yeah,
that's interesting. And I did the Max Holloway by stoppage bet, but
again, dude, just because the Vegas number doesn't mean they're right. That's why you guys bet, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If they were 100% right every time, it'd be hard to make $1. I don't think the heavyweights. I don't think there's a stoppage there. Joel Alvarez. He's fighting Thiago. Not Thiago. He's fighting. Oh my goodness, Thiago Moises. Yes. He's fighting Thiago Moises, two really good grapplers that may end up striking out. I don't think there's a stoppage there. I do think Felicia Spencer will get one. I just hope it's a TKO instead of a submission. Then we got Chaos Williams with his insane power, Miguel Baeza, Mark Diakis, I keep screwing that up. Andrea Lee could, Kennedy and Chuckwu could. I feel like we have a bunch of options I think Knockout Kings is going to be a big problem for you this week.
Oh, I thought it wouldn't be so bad, but well, you know what? That's the best thing about Knockout Kings. When I think it's going to be the worst, it's all right, and then when I think we'll be all right, then that's probably when I take it, right? But yeah, I was just thinking because we got Holloway. You know what? But maybe for the people that kind of like pay attention to it, a lot of people just like throwing the main event in. Let's see. So, well, but so do you. So shit, that might be a bad week for me, and I do like the Chaos one too as well. And I think I like yours. If I were to play my own game, I'd probably have that too. I don't look bad.
Yeah. And Max Holloway is probably the riskiest one here because he is not like a finisher. But if he fights the way he's been fighting against Yair Rodriguez, who we haven't seen in 2 full years, I think Yair's going to have a problem with the pressure, and he may end up folding. Felicia Spencer, I think she definitely wins by stoppage. It may be a submission, though, right? She may touch up Leah Letson. Leah Letson rolls the wrong way, and then Felicia just catches her in a rear naked choke. And then Chaos Williams is always live.
Yeah, Spencer's 3-1 to win by submission, 8-1 to win by TKO.
And she has TKOs, so that's the beauty of Knockout Kings.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yep, and that's the beauty of Knockout Kings is I can pick any 3 fighters. I don't need to pick just one and lean on it. Any 3. You may complain about the odds, but the reality is I can get a 25% net profit any 3 fighters I want. And some cards, it's literally a guarantee. I'm solid here, so I'm just going to grab it. We'll throw 50 at it. We'll lock that in. All right, Chris, any parting words? Here's what I've played so far, actually, while I have it up. You just watched me do the Knockout Kings. I did more on Moises and Alvarez. I did more on Rothwell de Lima. And I did less on the main event when you had a much higher line. So I'm feeling good.
And I'm screenshotting this, and I'm going to go back into my thing and adjust all those. No, I'm just kidding, man. I don't do that. No, those are decent plays. Yeah. Well, good luck this week. And as always, I'm around. I'll hit you guys up. Are you guys going to stream this week or no?
We'll see. The early start time makes it tricky, so we'll see. I definitely won't be able to do a pre-fight live stream, but I may just live stream the undercard while my kids are napping, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. I'll look for you then.
All right, well, I appreciate it. Anybody watching, wewantpicks.com/MKF. Jump in, sign up. They will instantly match your deposit. My recommendation, look at my plays here. My recommendation is come in and spread your money out. Do $10 per fight. Spread it out. You 2.5 times your money with every single win. Do not put it all on one single fight. Spread it out. You can win 2, lose 1, and still be up good money. You can win 1, lose 2, and basically be even. wewantpicks.com/MKF.
Listen to this guy. I keep seeing, come on, guys. I'm trying to help you out. Listen to this man. He knows what he's doing.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on. I know everybody absolutely loves sort of the peek behind the curtain and gets a look at the man they're competing against every single week.
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of wild. I don't think about it too often. Like, this is just what I do. So it's cool that there's anyone that's interested in what I do for work, So it's just like, I just enjoy doing it, but it feels like I'm playing fantasy, but I always forget the other aspect. There's actual people on the other side, you know what I mean? Playing my numbers. These aren't just numbers on a screen. So it's kind of cool to interact.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we'll see you.
All right. Have a good one. Later, guys.